Hi guys, let's talk about our inspired negative space drawing. Our objectives are develop skill in creating accurate proportions, focusing on drawing negative space shapes correctly. Then we're going to create an original artwork focusing on accurate proportions by using contour drawing and collage materials to creatively define the negative space of an object. So this is an example of my final project. So you will choose an object, so an image reference or something from life, to create a contour drawing focusing on accurate proportion, then use collage and mixed media to define the unique negative spaces. So you will need a reference image, large drawing paper, a ruler, a pencil, thin and thick Sharpies, collage materials, a glue stick, scissors, and then at the end ink for splattering if you choose to do so. So the first thing you're going to do is you need to choose a reference. So I have an assortment of images. They are objects that are geometric, and then they're objects that are organic, like this piece of jade plant. So it's up to you what you want to pick. You can also take your own reference image to work from. Finally, if you want to be an expert, you can work from life, and then I have viewfinders for you to use to help you with that if you decide to draw something in front of you instead. So to get started, you want to create a 1/2 inch border around your paper. You're going to really study your object in the shapes of the negative spaces. And then you're going to create a contour drawing in pencil focusing on accurate positive and negative spaces. So as I was drawing this, I was really focusing on what the shapes are between the leaves of that jade plant. And I went really slow and made sure to get it as accurate as possible, using my pencil to measure, making little marks. So please take your time and try to get it as accurate as possible. Once you're finished, you want to outline your drawing with a thin Sharpie. You can add a few light details in the positive space if you would like to, but again, we're really just focusing on positive and negative space in this. Once you're done, you're going to use tracing paper. You're going to isolate those negative spaces and then trace the shape. So we're creating a little stencil of the negative shapes. So once you do that, you're going to cut out your shape and then choose a collage material. And I'm going to say, before you just start cutting shapes out of random things, I would pick a stack of collage materials, colors, things that you like that you can work from, instead of trying to find a new collage material every time you cut a shape. You're going to trace that shape and then cut. So you can see I use the dictionary page, and then now I have my little shape. Get a glue stick, and then you're going to glue that shape into the negative space. So as long as it's pretty close, you don't really have to worry too much, because at the end we'll kind of fix it if there's any spaces. But you want to make sure that that shape fits in pretty well to the negative space. So another option, if you are just directly tracing the shape, you might end up getting Sharpie over parts of your material that you will see when you glue it. So to avoid that, you can flip over your shape that you created and then trace it on the back of the paper that has a pattern on it. So then when you're cutting the back, and you're not going to have lines on your cutting. So let me show you what I mean. So here's my shape. So it's the bottom right portion. I really like this wallpaper piece that I found. I really like this pattern. So instead of just tracing it like this and then having like little bumps in it and then end up having Sharpie on it, I flipped the paper over and I flipped my shape over. So you can see this is the shape, and then I flipped the paper and the shape over and I traced it that way. So then when I cut it, I didn't have any extra lines from when I traced it on there. Again, this is completely optional. This is just me being a stickler for how my work looks. If you want me to help you with that, just ask me in class. So as you're going along, you want to fill in all the negative spaces. So consider the colors, patterns, and textures that work together, which is why I suggest finding an assortment of things that you like, taking it to your table instead of trying to pick a piece here, pick a piece there. So pick an assortment of things that you think go together. Then once you do one layer, you're not done. I would like you to add some extra layers on top. And then since you have that stack of papers, I want you to reuse the same or similar papers, maybe similar colors, similar patterns, and move it around to create unity in your piece. If you don't do this, it'll look really kind of pieced together and it won't look like a fully finished artwork. So looking at my work, you can see I have that wallpaper piece from the bottom right. I moved it around. I really like that wallpaper. This piece, I just tore it from, it was a piece of wallpaper that had a lot of leaves on it. So I took the one from the top and then I put it down there. I used multiple little tears of that dictionary that I have around the piece. And then again, I found that wallpaper pattern in a different color, and then I put it over on the right. It's on the left. There's a little bit at the bottom. And then once you're finished adding another layer, so another, at least one more layer, if not layer it 3 times, you're going to trace it with a thick Sharpie. So this is where you can kind of fix it if the shapes don't quite match up to your drawing. And there you go. So you can see how I've thickened some of the lines. You can also play around with line width. I did that a little bit in this, so I made some lines really thick and then I left some thin. If you want to add a little bit of details into your positive space, you can, but again, try to leave it mostly empty. So your last step that you can do, and this is optional, but if you have the time, I highly recommend it, and it's fun to do. So cut out some shapes and cover them over your collage. So you're going to block out your collage. I just use post-it notes because honestly I was in a rush to finish it. And they're all the same shape. So I put a bunch of post-it notes over the top. And then what I did was I have an assortment of acrylic ink and a special brush. So I'll have some brushes or toothbrushes for you. And I just took it and splattered it over the top. And so what this will do is it will again give it even more unity to your piece. So it'll add some color into those positive spaces, but since it's also in the negative spaces, again, it'll make it look like a more finished piece. And I would just choose a color that either completely contrasts with your colors that you picked, or one that is analogous or goes with your colors. So I just picked green, so it would kind of match with what I was doing and with the object that I picked. So after you do this, you're done. You're going to mat it on black paper like we usually do. Don't forget to take an image of your work and turn it in. And then I can't wait to see what final drawings you guys come up with. Good job.